Hello, everyone. Shawn Hays here with Varonis, and I wanted to touch base and talk a little bit about some of the changes that are found within the latest Notice of Proposed Rulemaking for the HIPAA Security Rule. You may have already read it. It's about 125 pages long. It's quite a read. It was released at the end of December, so right at the turn of the new year. And one of the biggest changes is around auditing and analysis and assessment of the customer's environment, of certain practices that are in place to meet certain implementation specifications. And nevertheless, there actually was a requirement before that was in fact required, not addressable, but required for risk analysis. You could have found it in the Part 164.308 and administrative safeguards. And the previous risk analysis requirements didn't really have any kind of time box. There's very little specification on how those assessments needed to be documented and those types of things. But in the latest Notice of Proposed Rulemaking, otherwise known as NPRM, starting from the top, the first one is to have about every 12 months a written risk analysis and updated inventories. And when I say inventories, this is network mapping, this is flow of ePHI throughout the environment, and also an asset inventory that goes beyond just laptops and devices within the environment. That's systems of record, that may be AI solutions, those types of things. And you do basically a complete inventory and a complete mapping of your environment and risk associated with that inventory and risk associated with that mapping and the flow of ePHI, all in every basically 12 months in your environment. And that's at least. So you can do it more than once in a year, but nevertheless, every 12 months you would do that. The second is a compliance audit. So the first assessment is really just what you have. The second is more of a compliance audit, going through each specific implementation specification, looking at each one of those and understanding whether or not you are checking that box. This is purely a compliance audit, being able to validate that you were doing, at least by process, people, procedures, and even technology, that somehow you are addressing the requirements themselves. And then the third requirement is that you review and test the technical controls. So again, number one is, what do you have in your environment? Where is ePHI residing? How is it flowing throughout the organization? Number two being, hey, are you meeting the nuts and bolts requirements? And number three is basically the efficacy of those technical controls. So what have you put into place? People, process, procedures, technology. What have you put into place, and is it working or not? So truly testing if it's effective or not. The fourth is technical verification of your business associates, having them give you some sort of certification from either an internal subject matter expert from that organization or an external third party doing an assessment on their own practices to see if they're actually upholding the same compliance standards as you are. So that's also every 12 months. And then fifth is doing a vulnerability scan every 6 months. So it's slightly different than the other ones. Most of them have a 12-month time box on them. For vulnerability scanning, again, that's number 5. You do that every 6 months. So there's a lot of assessment and analysis that has been put into the latest notice. We are going to be having a webinar on this particular topic. We look forward to having you there. But nevertheless, those are the 6 key assessment and audit basically additions or changes that you can find in the latest NPRM. Thanks.